Hey everybody, I'm BriBo from Bossy Brushes, and in today's video we're going to be going over how to paint the Galaxy Forest. If you haven't had the chance to already, please click on the link and watch our brush care video, which will show you how to properly care for your brushes. I'm not going to go over anything that you need to know to take care of your brushes, so if you're confused about that, check out that video, it'll tell you everything you need. If at any time you feel like I'm going too fast or you can't keep up, feel free to pause the video or rewind. I have a lot of practice doing these paintings. I've taught these classes a couple of times, so I might end up going a little bit faster than you. If that's the case, it's okay. The more painting videos you do with us, the more you'll get used to the techniques we use, and the easier it'll be to go faster on your paintings. If ever you start falling behind or you forgot a step, just go ahead and pause the video, rewind the video, do whatever you need to so you can complete the painting. So for this painting, you're going to need your brushes, your cup of water. I already have some of the brushes we're going to be soaking in the water. You can go ahead and do that now if you want. Just put in a couple brushes in the water. Paper towel or a rag you can use to clean and wipe off dirty brushes with. A plate for mixing your paint, and your paint. These are the colors we're going to be using today, but you can add any colors that you want, something whatever you're feeling like. Don't give yourself too much paint. I gave myself a little bit too much paint. Just be careful. It's better to use less paint than more paint, because you can always add paint to your plate, but you can't take away paint from your plate. And your canvas. I'm using a 12 by 16 canvas, but you could use an 11 by 14 or any size canvas that you want, really. When I did this class live, I used a 16 by 24 painting, and that was really pretty. So if you want to go bigger, you can. But I'm just going to show you how to do it on this smaller canvas, and you can use whatever canvas you want. The steps are going to be the same, it's just going to be a different shape or size. Alright, so starting off, I have my water soaking one of my large wooden brushes and my two biggest small brushes. My two biggest blue brushes. So if you're using one of our kits, it's the brush labeled, it's the 8 brush and the 5/8 brush. Alright, so you can go ahead and take your brushes out of the water. You don't want them to soak for too long. And we're going to start with our big wooden brush. And we're going to start by painting the sky. So as you can see, the sky goes from dark to lighter. We're going to start by getting just directly on your brush, make sure you have a damp brush, a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, and a little bit of white. Just like this. And we're just going to start at the very bottom, going back and forth, and mixing those colors here at the bottom of our canvas. You'll notice they made this really cool teal color. If you want it to be more green, which I kind of do, just add some green. And you just go back and forth to just kind of cover that canvas with paint. A little bit more blue, a little bit more green, and I'm not going to get any white going up. Need a little bit more water on my brush. Go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Once you kind of have a good solid coat of paint here, what's really nice about this painting is all of the movement in the background of it. And so to get that, we're going to be doing kind of like crazy 8s with our brushes. Just back and forth, making little, you can think of it as making little X's or crazy 8s. And that will mix your colors together and give you a lot of movement. Now you can use this larger brush, or you can use this smaller brush. Either one is going to give you a cool texture. This will give you more movement than this, but this will go faster. So I kind of want it to be a little bit more green down here, just so it can kind of glow. Just till about here. It gives it that kind of glowy look. And then I'm going to add some blue right here in the middle. Just kind of blend it up. Don't be afraid to be a little rough with your canvas. It can take it, I promise. Canvases are pretty sturdy. My table's shaking like it's an earthquake. Once you get to about this point, you're going to want to start making the sky a little bit darker. So the trick here is to not use too much black. If you use a lot of black to make your sky darker, it's gonna become a black sky, which, you know, it wouldn't be terrible, but we want it to be a really midnight blue. And so what you're gonna wanna do, just here at the middle point, you're gonna wanna take your brush, get a bunch of blue on it, and just a little bit of black. Just the corner of your brush there with the blue and the black. And you're gonna wanna take it with the black facing the top and start doing what we were doing before, but with the black. And as you blend, you'll notice your whole sky getting darker. It's just gonna look really cool when we're done. I might add some more green here at the bottom. The higher up you go, the more black you're gonna wanna add to your brush. So I'm gonna start at the very top with this, mostly black and a little blue. And I'm not gonna try to spread this down too far because I got too much black there. Need a little bit more water so it spreads a little better. And mixes better with that blue. And you want the top to look almost completely black. So if it starts to look like that, that's okay. But now start blending it down so that it mixes with this blue. You can add more blue paint if you need to. And you'll get this really cool midnight blue green sky. So as I've taught this painting, I've had some people who actually take the green and put it in the middle and use long strokes up and down to kind of give it a Aurora Borealis look, which I think is way cool. If you want to do that, go for it, give it a try. I'm not going to show you how to do that here, but maybe in another video. For now, I'm just going to show you the original painting. My brush is getting kind of dirty, so I'm going to clean it off and keep going. That also gives this paint a minute to dry so that we can do a second coat and it can be a little bit more opaque, because right now it's pretty see-through because I'm using really thin paint. And the reason I'm using thin paint is so that it dries faster. Because before we start on our trees, we're going to want this whole background to be dry. So, using thin layers of paint helps it to dry much faster. So just start filling in. Oh no! Too much water. I got too much water on my brush and I got water dripping on my painting, but we can fix it. It's okay. Just whenever you do that, just add paint to the spots that are too watery and blend it in. strokes, but if sometimes you are really having trouble getting a corner, you can do whatever you need to just cover that canvas and then add the movement later. Just go until you're happy with it. See, I've added more black to the top. I'm gonna add more blue now to the middle. And it's giving this really cool movement. It's almost like, when I look at it, it kind of makes me think of the ocean, just how the waves kind of move, which is going to be a really cool effect because this isn't the ocean, this is the sky. So you're going to get a really cool nighttime sky effect. Your hand might get a little tired after a while. That's okay. Give yourself a break, let your paint dry a little bit, and come back to it. I'm actually going to do that right now. This layer of paint wants to dry, so we're going to give it a minute to dry and then we'll come back. So now that it's dried a little bit, I'm adding another layer of paint. I'm using my smaller brush just so I can get a little bit more movement in the background. Once you get to about here, you don't need to work on this bottom part too much because we're going to be covering it up with some trees mostly. I do want, however, that bottom part to kind of glow. So I'm going to add some green and white on my brush. Green and white. I'm just going to kind of mix it in down here. It'll lighten it up, make it kind of have a more glow effect against this dark background here. Get to a point where you've got pretty much everything covered, but you still want a little bit more movement, just start adding colors in certain areas. So I'm taking green, and I'm just kind of mixing in certain places towards the bottom. And just not mixing it across the whole canvas, but making it really uneven. Now I'm going to take blue and do the same thing at the top. And just give it that kind of uneven sky. Because if you look at the sky at night, it really isn't all just one color. It's a lot of colors. It's a lot of different values, I think. So keep working on it until it's how you like it. I really like how it's coming out. This is a good time to take a step back from it once you finish your background. You're gonna need it to dry, and sometimes you've been like up looking at it and getting a different angle really helps you see things that you don't like or do like or things you want to fix. So it helps get out of your chair, step away from the painting for a little bit, and see how you like it. So for this next part, you're gonna want your background to be dry, especially here at the bottom because we're gonna be adding in our black trees. Something you can do while you wait is paint the sides of your canvas the colors that you want to. I'm gonna take some blue and some black and do that right now while I wait for my paint to dry. And you just take the sides of your canvas and paint them. And what this does is just gives it a real finished look. It's something to do while you pass the time. So what you can do then, once you've painted your canvas, is you can just hang it directly on the wall. You don't need a frame or anything special. Once you've painted the sides, if you're still waiting for your painting to dry, you can go ahead and take some time, get a snack, get some water, maybe change out your paint water if it's looking really dirty. But yeah, just wait for your paint to dry. I'm changing out my water because it's nasty. Once your paint is dry and you're ready to go, we're gonna start by doing the trees. So if you have one of our Bossy Brushes paint kits, you're gonna wanna use this brush. It's the 5/8 brush. It's the large brush with the very flat head. So, once you have your brush, make sure it's clean. It should be, but just make sure. Make sure your brush is clean, and then you're gonna wanna take your brush and dip it in the black like this. And then from here, you're gonna wanna decide where you wanna put your trees. And so, I think I'm gonna put a tall tree here. Once you decide, just draw a line for the trunk of your tree. A tree there. For sure, a tree over here, a smaller tree here, a larger tree here. Mix it up. You don't want your trees to all be the same height because every tree is different. Maybe I'll add another one here, a baby one here, and here maybe, yeah. Here's your little forest. So from here, you're gonna wanna take the same brush and start doing dabs against the canvas in a zigzag motion with your arms. So your arm's gonna go like this and you're gonna dab on the canvas while you do it, and I'll show you. Just dabs like this. Just poke your canvas with your brush. And at the top, start out kind of thin, close together, zigzags really tight because it's the top of your tree. Think of your trees. And then otherwise, as you get lower, it gets bigger and bigger. And dab, dab, dab. Because we're doing some nice, cool pine trees here. And the further down you go, the farther you want to kind of and just go all the way to the bottom. The bottom here is our ground, and it's probably going to be completely black by the time we're done. Just dab, dab, dab your trees. One tree done, and we'll do the next one. This one here. He's a fat guy. We like fat trees. Fat trees give a lot of shade. And don't be afraid if your tree kind of overlaps another tree. That just happens. It's a forest. Only the strong survive. Just keep going. If you don't pick up your brush completely off the canvas, that's okay. It'll kind of drag and you'll get a little bit of a stroke, but as long as you're adjusting your pressure, just like up and down movements, you'll get this very leafy tree look. And just do this for all of your trees. Even trees that are covered up, you kind of still want to add little leaves to, because you can still kind of see their trunks. And then it looks like a tree in the background. So, don't want to leave any tree behind. No tree left behind. Like that, if you really struggle using this larger brush, you can go ahead and use a smaller brush. It'll do the same trick, just you have a little bit more control. It'll take longer, but you can get those smaller lines. Just want to keep going all the way to the bottom. And don't worry if it looks kind of like a mess. It's alright, forests are messy. I got a little lazy there, stop doing a little dab. Gotta not be lazy. Sometimes your arm gets tired. That's alright. That's natural. But if you get lazy, your painting will suffer for it. So don't get lazy. Last tree! There's a forest. It's kind of a little skinny in the middle. I might add some leaves in the middle, just to help fill in these skinny pine trees. And then what we want to do is at the bottom, we want to cover just this whole bottom part that's green. This is the ground. So just the very bottom, just cover that whole thing black. You might have to hike your painting up to the canvas so you can see it. I'll leave that out. So you don't need here. And then I like to just keep dabbing at the line between the trees and the floor, so it looks like the trees really just grow out of that floor, and that's the pine trees coming up. It blends that line out so it's not this stiff line, and it looks a lot more natural. Oh, it's looking so good! Cool! I love it! Alright, so now here's one of my favorite parts, and it's gonna be where we add stars. So you're gonna wanna take a thin brush. I'll show you two ways to do it. You take a really thin brush, get a little bit of white on it, and you can just start poking where you want stars to be. But those get kind of big and take a long time to do. So what I like to do is make sure your brush is wet, get some white paint on it, and then from here just kind of tap on your brush with your finger, and it'll splatter the paint, and that'll give it a lot more of a dotted star look. But once again, this can take quite a while depending on the brush you're using. Ooh, and it can get everywhere. So, my favorite way to do it is to take an old toothbrush. I use this toothbrush for painting, not for brushing teeth. Once you use a toothbrush to paint, don't use it to brush your teeth with because it's going to be gross after that. Take your toothbrush, get it wet, your painting toothbrush, get some white on there. So that's kind of loaded with paint like this. And this is going to be messy on your hands, just a warning. You're going to want to spray the painting with the toothbrush. And you'll get a really cool spray of stars. And this is really awesome. It's totally random. It's totally varied. You get big stars, you get little stars, and they're all over the place, and it took us like 10 seconds. So that's really great. Easy way to do it. From here, you can be done. If you like it like this, great. Leave it. If you're not completely satisfied, we can do what I'm about to do. We're gonna make them winter trees. So take your small flat brush. This came with your Bossy Brushes kit if you got one, or if you don't have one, find a smaller brush, that'll work. It's essentially this brush's baby sister, or whatever. Get it wet, get a little bit of white on there, and we're gonna do the same thing we did with the trees, but we're gonna do it on top of the trees, and we're gonna add a little snowfall to the trees. This is a really cool effect, but you don't wanna go crazy with it, because if you go crazy with it, then you're gonna have white trees instead of black trees, and it's not gonna be great. You gotta think about how snow falls from the sky and lands on the tops of the trees. Your bottoms of your trees probably won't have that much snow on there. But your tops of your trees will. So, just real lightly dab. Just on the top of where you think your branches are. Just think about where the snow's falling. Don't cover your whole tree. Just where you think it's collecting some snow. Maybe maybe on some branches that look a little heavy. You don't need a lot of white paint. If you use too much white paint, it'll really overpower your trees. You kind of want just a little bit, and you just want to dab it on there. So just kind of a hint of snow. A little white paint here goes a long way. I'm adding a little bit snow to the ground, but just with my leftover white paint from there, and I'm going to get some more on my brush and just keep adding it to my trees. You do not need to do this if you don't want to. If you don't want with your trees, don't do this. If you do want with your trees, do it. And voila! So, now you're done. You've completed it. Hope you liked it. I hope you're happy with it. If you're not happy with it, maybe take some time away from it. Go to the other room, eat some food, get a drink, come back to this later and look at it, and you'll like it so much better. I promise. For almost every class I do, I have students who are like, oh, I don't like it, I don't think it looks good. But then the next day they're like, oh, it looks so much better, I love it so much, I'm so proud of it. And I promise that's how it is with almost every painting you do. If you did enjoy doing this painting with us, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. We post a lot more painting videos that you can see and follow along and do a lot of cool stuff like this. If you have any suggestions for how we can improve, put them in the comments, or put whatever you want in the comments. Thanks for joining us and doing this painting with me, and we'll see you next time.